Hey guys, if you guys have a Python gravel vac and water change system, there's a couple different ways you can use it, and I want to show you the best ways to use it whether you have sand or gravel. Either one, it works great, but if you do a couple little changes to each substrate, it makes life a lot easier. Let's get right into it. Python tube, Python hose. When I'm doing a gravel vac in an aquarium that has gravel as the substrate, I use the tube and hook it to the hose because you have to stick the tube down into the gravel and go through. You can see mine's all scratched up over the years of use. You have to use this to clean gravel. You stick this down in the gravel, twist, turn to get all the uneaten food and detritus out and up, which takes it to the tube and takes it to your sink, right? Works good. And you can also do this method with sand. However, my experience, what I have found is when you stick this in sand, which I do like to do periodically, because what that does is it kind of aerates the sand a little bit, just give it a little disturbance, and it does clean and pull some of the stuff out of the sand. But I like it because it kind of gets rid of trapped air bubbles at the same time, and it kind of stirs it up a little bit. You don't want to disturb that good bacteria that's built up in your sand too much, but it's good to give it a little bit of an aeration every once in a while. Plus, at the same time, you are pulling out uneaten food and detritus. But what I have found when I'm doing that, especially like, and it depends on the type of the sand too. If I use this setup like this in my black diamond sandblasting sand, it does pretty good. But even in that situation, like the common pleco I have in there, it will not pull that pleco poop out. The poop is just too heavy, I guess. And I have that same exact issue in my Oscar tank. If I use the tube in the sand, it has a really hard time pulling out everything that I need to get out. Plus, it also, in my Oscar tank, I have actual sand that I got from the aquarium store, and that sand is a lot lighter, so it'll have a tendency to suck the actual too much sand out and send it to my sink, and you don't want that. What I have found is pop that tube off, just use the hose and just go just above the surface, and when you take that tube off and you just have the hose, you got a lot more suction here. Because you have a smaller diameter hose, it creates kind of like a, it just brings it down to a smaller hole, which is going to create more suction. I have great suction in my house. It's not a problem. So you take that tube off, take your hose, just go right above the substrate of your sand, and it gets everything. I don't want to put the hose on the sand because obviously that's going to suck the sand out too. So what I do is I just put it right above, as close as I can get to where it starts pulling the stuff out. And sometimes you get stuff that gets stuck on the sand and doesn't want to come off. All you have to do is go like this above it a little bit, and that creates a little flow and loosens it up, and the hose grabs it, sucks it right out much easier, much quicker. You don't have to worry about sucking too much sand with the tube, with the hose, the tube, yes. So that was just a little tip. What do you guys do? How do you guys do your sand versus gravel substrate, for those of you that have both? But yeah, there's a few little different variables involved in that. I just wanted to make a little video on how it works. Pool filter sand, black diamond sandblasting sands is actually heavier than your regular sand like I have in this Oscar tank, so it's not as light. It doesn't float up into the water column as easy. So this works good, but even with that, I still have to pop it off and use the hose at times. In my Oscar tank, I have to use the hose, period, because like I said, this takes too much out. But even with, you got to be careful both ways, because you can suck that sand out, and that sand floats roll. And anytime I'm doing, especially in that Oscar tank, anytime I'm doing a gravel vac and a water change in that, I make sure that I unplug my FX4 and any other filter you have in there, because like I said, that sand's so light, it actually floats up in the water. And I've had it go in there and clog up the drain valve on the FX4, and it started leaking. So I had to pull that off and clean it out, and all was good. Didn't hurt no seals. but I combated that by putting a pre-filter on that FX4 and only using the hose and being very careful. But it takes no time at all. It sucks it out faster just using the hose, which saves you time. And I put a video out on this before, I don't tend to even use my Python for that part of the maintenance because I don't want sand, because no matter what you do, if you have sand in your tanks, you're going to get it in your sink, you're going to get it in your plumbing, and you don't want that. Over years of that, you're going to have an issue with your plumbing. So what I like to do is I like to use the old school hand gravel vacs, not the Python that you hook up to a faucet. The handheld one with the pump. You stick it in there, pump it up, and let it drain into a bucket when I do that portion, and it all drains into the bucket. Then I take the bucket outside, obviously, dump it, and you're done. Then I move on to the next tank and I do the same thing, and then I only use my Python now to fill my tanks back up. This process not only saves time, it's more efficient, it also saves you money in your water bill, because I use an actual electric pump that I stick in there to pull all the water out, and the Python is only used to refill the aquariums. So you're only using half the water I did before. So yeah, quick little tip. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, or also please let me know what you guys do. I'm always like to learn new things, and let me know how you do your gravel vacs and water changes in your sand and gravel tanks. All right guys, till next video, appreciate your help. Thank you again. Bye.